I explained to her I wanted these mythological creatures, and she said, well, we do the dodo. And I thought, okay, I've got the right place. Hi Vogue, I'm Anna Sui. Welcome to my home in Greenwich Village. Today I'm going to show you my objects of affection, and I've got a lot of surprises for you. This is the silver living room, and it's inspired by Rose Cummings, who had a room that kind of looked like this, that had silver reflective wallpaper that was all hand-painted chinoiserie. My first object of affection are these tiles. They're William de Morgan. I had seen them in books and then also at the Victoria and Albert Museum. And I realized, like, oh, I'll never have them because they don't make them anymore. William de Morgan went out of business many, many years ago. But then I met the tile curator at the V&A, and he told me that there was one place that still made them, and it was Kenneth Clark Tiles. So I called the number that they gave me, and the woman answered the phone. I explained to her I wanted these mythological creatures, and she said, well, we do the dodo. And I thought, okay, I've got the right place. I've lived here over 20 years, and I had this idea that I would love to combine apartments with the across the hall apartment. And we broke through here and built a secret door. So this is the library. I love coming here, especially on weekend mornings, and sitting by the window and reading, looking at magazines or mail. It's just like one of the most relaxing rooms in the whole house. This picture of butterfly wings was given to me on my first perfume tour to Taiwan. People in the 1930s and 40s used to make these for souvenirs. And through the years, I found others that are probably from the 30s and 40s. And then my most recent acquisition are these little tiny plates that I found on live auctioneers, actually. Designing a room is very similar to designing a collection. In fact, I had like my mood pages that I would put together with pictures from books and research that I did for the color scheme, for actually the whole mood that you're trying to create per room. It's also the way that I design clothes. I'll have a color palette and I'll have a mood I'm trying to create. This is the red room. We do a lot of reading in here, the TV's in here, and I even have my little home gym in here. It's one of my favorite rooms in the house. The feature in this room is this cabinet, which is filled with my original Vogues that I collected as a kid, and then I supplemented the collection where I have volumes. I found bound editions, and then I bound all of mine. I use this a lot for reference and just enjoyment, because I just love looking at the pictures of the 60s Vogues. My collection goes from the 50s through the 70s. The late 60s and early 70s were my own. And then I also found bound editions in secondhand bookstores, and then I bound them all together. So that's why you see all these volumes of books. The first time that I was featured in Vogue is when I did my first fashion show. It was 1991. They talked about my fashion and had a few pictures. You know, I had been collecting Vogues almost all my life, so it was really, really special. Well, I guess I should put this back, and I've got something else to show you. When I took this apartment, that was my first focus, was to have a dining room that I could have guests over and we could actually have a sit-down meal. It's really fun to have family here. We've had up to 60 people in this room, lots of friends, big gatherings. Sometimes they bring extra friends, so there's lots of extra chairs sitting around that we kind of push around the table, and we've had some feasts here. The wallpaper is done by the same people as in the other silver room. It's Gracie wallpaper, but it's kind of a frosted metallic with a very, very pale off-white. The hardest to obtain object of affection that I have is this fireplace. So I had no idea what the story of this fireplace was, but my friend is a collector of this tinsel art. And you can see I have a few pieces that I got from him. We found out that this tinsel art was produced in these wrought iron fireplaces right after the Civil War. I saw it at an antique store in Holland, Michigan, years ago, and it was built into the wall. and I wanted to buy it. It was the most beautiful fireplace I've ever seen. It looks like a piece of jewelry. They didn't want to sell it, and I was practically ready to cry. And when I left, the daughter followed me out and she said, "Give me your number, I'll call you when my parents are ready to let it go." Well, a couple years passed and I didn't hear from her, so I called her. And she said, "Hold on a minute." And she asked her mom, and her mom said, "Okay, let's let her have it." So they took it out of the wall, and I got it here. So this room was inspired by the David Hicks room for Helena Rubinstein. I love that he did it all pink and purple. I never liked that color combination until I saw those rooms. So I fell in love with the designer James Mount, and this is one of the pieces here. What I loved about what he did was it's all kind of chinoiserie, but he did very special finishes. There's gold with silver layered on top, and it creates kind of an iridescent shimmer. One of my favorite pieces is this chandelier. It's, again, very chinoiserie, but it's kind of camp. I like the little guys on the top, and it was the perfect color for the room. I found it on eBay. I think a lot of what I do is camp. You know, there's always like a sense of irony, kind of a tongue-in-cheek sort of approach to a lot of what I do. Now I want to show you something really special. This room was a bedroom, but I turned it into another closet because I needed storage space. I love this mural that Hilary Knight painted for me. He's the illustrator from the Eloise books, and I met him several years back, and he started telling me about these murals that he was doing for people. And I thought, oh, I want a mural too. So he came and saw the space, and we just talked about what did I want in the mural. And the first sketch that he sent me had some very wicked leopards in them that were kind of very predatory, and that didn't work for me. I thought it would be great if I had a club, but not in my house. And then he came back with these beautiful birds. Hilary was 94 years old at the time, so he wasn't really able to paint against the wall. So we bought panels, and he painted each panel, and they pieced this whole thing together. I love that Hilary not only painted these, but there's also, if you come in close, there's pearlized parts on their jewelry, and there's glitter, and there's even a little spider here that looks like his body is like a ruby. When I saw the finished product, I mean, it's just so stunning. It's more than I dreamed about. It's very, very special. So from one of the most sentimental pieces, I'm going to show you something that's the most talked about. Well, this is the bathroom, and it's one of the most talked about rooms in the house. I went to visit this beautiful apartment on Fifth Avenue, and she had a totally mirrored bathroom from the 1930s, but it had all this etched glass also. We couldn't do the etching, but we kind of simulated the moldings and really built like kind of an Art Deco dimension in it. And this window is one of the things that I love, that, you know, in New York apartments, there's usually like in older apartments, there's that frosted glass that always looks so depressing. So I've replaced all that frosted glass with these panels that are from companies that make stained glass. Well, I've showed you the most popular selfie space in the house. Now I'm going to show you something that's really special, and it's a piece of clothing. So this is my bedroom. The wallpaper is de Gournay, and there's lots of peacocks and birds throughout. I fell in love with the color, and again, there's so many birds. I think that there's kind of a playful quality to all the elements in here. But the most exciting thing in this room is this Elizabeth Taylor caftan. I went to the Christie's auction with my friend Sofia Coppola, and we were trying to get the Theo Porter caftans, and somebody was outbidding us on the phone. But this beautiful Tiziani one came up. I think it's just really a work of art. The cut velvet, and then all the hand beading. I wore this for New Year's right after I got it, and I've worn it on a couple special occasions. Thank you, Vogue. It's been a pleasure to show you all my objects of affection, and I hope to see you soon.